Hello everyone and welcome to May B&B 724 YouTube channel. Please hit the subscribe button and give this video thumbs up. Brooke disproves her due-to-bound hypothesis. This week on the CBS soap opera, Brooke Logan is acting so certain that she still possesses Ridge Forrester's heart that she even feels sorry for Taylor Hayes. According to Brooke's theory, Ridge feels compelled to dedicate himself to Taylor. She questions why she would ever want him in these circumstances and feels bad for Taylor being his second choice. Brooke also believes Ridge will come back to her. However, when a desperate Taylor convinces Ridge to accept her marriage proposal, she undermines her rival's theory. Brooke Logan put that ring on Taylor Hayes' hand, the bold and the beautiful. Brooke Logan is solely responsible for Taylor Hayes' frantic attempt to pop the question. When Brooke unexpectedly appeared at the Forrester estate on Bold and Beautiful this week, Taylor saw how confident she seemed. Taylor was given a hint by the Logan matriarch concerning Ridge Forrester's jealousy of Nick Marone. Brooke went into great detail about how Ridge wants his Logan to avoid Nick. Vibrant and gorgeous first spoilers: Ridge engaged and Brooke embracing Nick soap. B&B. Brooke rattles, June 30th to July 4th. Taylor. This week on Bold and Beautiful, Brooke made Taylor Hayes even more apprehensive about her future with Ridge. Taylor was therefore wringing her hands and appeared nervous by the time Brooke left the Forrester mansion. Taylor became agitated by this and immediately went to Ridge with a plan to strengthen their bond. And it was successful, since Ridge ends up replying, "I want to marry you," in response to Taylor's proposal. "I'd like to marry you." Bold and the Beautiful. Nick Marone breaks the news to Brooke. Nick is seated at a table at Illinois Giardino this week on Bold and the Beautiful. From Ridge and Taylor's table, his seat is hidden behind a few plants. Nick is within hearing distance of Taylor's proposal to Ridge, even if they cannot see him. Next 2 weeks, June 23rd to July 4th. Bold and Beautiful. Taylor engaged. Sheila furious. Soap. Spoilers. And it appears that Nick doesn't waste any time in telling Brooke Logan the news this week. According to teasers for Bold and the Beautiful, Brooke is devastated to learn of the engagement. Brooke, who merely wants Ridge to return home to her, appears to have blown it. Brooke Logan started this engagement on the CBS soap opera by prancing about Taylor Hayes and making jokes to make her believe Ridge Forrester is envious. Following a disastrous wedding day, Taylor says these 8 words to Ridge. According to spoilers for the Bold and the Beautiful, Taylor Hayes will experience a range of emotions in the upcoming episodes. It's clear that Taylor has some insecurities about her connection with Ridge Forrester, but she will try her hardest to move over them. Ridge will fulfill Taylor's wedding request and consent to remarrying her once she proposes. Taylor will be ecstatic about that and will attempt to persuade herself that Ridge is committing to her for the rest of her life. Naturally, Taylor ought to be aware by now of Ridge's poor performance history. Ridge's promise is essentially meaningless because he has vacillated so much over the years. Ridge still secretly desires Brooke Logan, and maybe always will. Taylor will not emerge victorious from this love triangle, regardless of the ring that she wears. B&B is acting as though Ridge deserves all of this attention, even though he isn't a treasure worth fighting for anyway. But eventually, Taylor will realize that getting back together with Ridge was a mistake. Ridge is about to make a revelation that might confirm Brooke was correct about his true emotions. The truth will surface as soon as Brooke and Ridge argue about his engagement news. Ridge seems to acknowledge that his decision to remain with Taylor may have been motivated by guilt and a desire to save her further suffering. Given Taylor's history of broken heart syndrome, Ridge doesn't want to ruin her anymore after causing her more than enough grief. Because of this, Ridge might go with this wedding, but it doesn't appear like he and Taylor will get married. If he decides against lying to Taylor, Ridge may abandon her at the altar. Alternatively, she may come to terms with Brooke's reality and abandon him. In any case, it appears that the wedding is about to end badly. This leads us to Taylor's final 8 words to Ridge. "You've broken my heart for the last time." Will Taylor make the decision that enough is enough at last? Will Taylor ever again allow herself to think that Ridge might be her future? According to spoilers for the Bold and the Beautiful, Taylor might need to update her viewpoint on true love. Brooke Logan, who has always been a symbol of romantic tenacity and emotional haughtiness, believed that the universe owed her Ridge Forrester's heart. However, this week on The Bold and the Beautiful, her self-assured faith in Ridge's loyalty crumbled under the weight of a surprise proposal, and the fallout reverberated throughout Los Angeles like a seismic earthquake. Seeing the smug superiority of a woman certain her ex-husband was just having an affair until he found his way back to her, Brooke strutted around the Forrester estate, assuming that Ridge was only seeing Taylor Hayes out of some lofty sense of obligation or shame. She was so certain, so focused on the idea that Ridge's emotional compass was still pointing towards her, that she dared to feel sorry for Taylor Hayes. Yes, sympathy, the woman who had intermittently shared Ridge's bed and heart for decades. By implying that Taylor was a depressed, insecure stand-in in Ridge's life and that he only stayed with her out of obligation rather than desire, Brooke not only felt superior but also used her sympathy as a weapon. What Brooke had not anticipated, however, was that Taylor, who had been silently wringing her hands in the shadow of Brooke's attention, would become enraged by her arrogant comments. Taylor jumped into action in a rare moment of clarity brought on by desperation, surprising Ridge with an unexpected and sincere marriage proposal that crushed Brooke's tidy little hypothesis like a glass of champagne under a high-heeled shoe. It wasn't the strategic maneuver of a woman fighting for position when Taylor fell on one knee and begged Ridge to marry her again. Rather, it was the unvarnished request of someone holding onto the dream that perhaps, just possibly, she would always be his. Ridge couldn't say no because he was too overcome by Taylor's emotional fragility and the burden of years of loving and hurting her. "I wish to wed you." His comments to her sounded like a death knell to Brooke's presumptions. "I want to be your husband." This was Ridge saying yes to Taylor because, at least at that time, he wanted her, not because he was leaving Brooke because Taylor needed him. Naturally, though, as she starts organizing the wedding with the zeal of a woman who is trying to beat the clock, Taylor's happiness turns into frantic energy. Not only is she getting married to Ridge, but she's also ending a rivalry with Brooke that will last for decades. There is a sense of urgency in every food item and flower arrangement. Although he silently fears the impending showdown with Brooke, Ridge agrees to it. He is aware that she will not take it lightly. Indeed, Brooke is incensed rather than devastated when Ridge arrives to deliver the news. Her sorrow turns into determination. She doesn't beg for once. She doesn't beg. She only instructs Ridge to wed Taylor and see the results. Ridge starts to question whether Brooke has really moved on after being taken aback by her composure. Then it strikes Nick like a sucker punch. Nick has been hovering, observing, and waiting. Ridge realizes Nick is to blame for Brooke's newfound confidence and shine. Meanwhile, Nick finds himself engrossed in Brooke once more. As they remember the passion, the laughter, and the wonderful times, their chats become more personal. Brooke remembers how Nick gave her a sense of being recognized and valued, something Ridge seldom ever did in their final years. Nick doesn't hesitate when he senses the door is open. He gives her a kiss. Additionally, Brooke doesn't back down this time. It's not a comeback. It is a rediscovery. Steffi Forrester learns that Luna is at large just as Brooke starts to release Ridge. The Finnegan and Forrester families experience panic. Hazy's safety takes first, and there are rumors that Luna would attempt to steal the child as retaliation or leverage. Feeling guilty, Finn tries to mend the harm his daughter has caused while juggling his responsibilities as a father and a doctor. Haunted by the trauma Luna caused, Steffi thinks about leaving with Hayes once more, possibly to a distant estate away from the turmoil of LA, rather than to Europe. In the meantime, Sheila Carter approaches Luna in a rare epiphany and offers her a safe house and an international aircraft ticket. However, Luna, who is now dangerous and erratic, has other ideas. She tells Sheila that she wants to put a stop to things, not run. It's unclear if that will entail a final run-in with Steffi, a kidnapping, or worse. Sheila is debating whether to step in and stop Luna from falling. However, she has second thoughts after receiving a late-night call from Deacon. He cautions her that she might destroy all the delicate bridges she has attempted to mend if she aids Luna. Sheila must then make the difficult decision to tie Luna in order to protect herself. The wedding bells may be ringing back in the glistening but broken corridors of Forrester Creations, but they are not in tune. Unaware that Ridge's heart is getting heavier every day, Taylor keeps moving forward, picking up venues and dresses. Nick and Brooke, meanwhile, restart their romance with unexpected maturity. Their once volatile chemistry now glows with compassion and affection. Katie becomes Brooke's supporter after being ecstatic about her sister's advancement. And when Ridge makes one final attempt to see how Brooke is doing, he enters her living room to find something unexpected. Nick and Brooke dancing slowly and intimately together, gaze locked, music low. Finally, the door has closed, and Ridge must now deal with the fallout from his inability to make a decision. The fireworks are no longer symbolic as the 4th of July draws closer. Luna's outburst has the potential to turn tragic. The day of Ridge and Taylor's wedding is undetermined. What about Brooke Logan? For once, she is choosing herself above a man, and perhaps even a second chance with the man who has always loved her. At the same time, Luna vanishes into the night, leaving a path of mayhem, heartache, and peril in her wake. With Ridge confronting a future he might not want, and Sheila, Deacon, Steffi, and we're all getting ready for fallout, Bold and the Beautiful lays the stage for a scorching summer finale in which no villain is completely eliminated, no love is assured, and no heart is safe. Because happily ever afters are always one twist away from catastrophe in this town, and redemption is as ephemeral as retaliation. Therefore, it is imperative that you hope Will Spencer, Crew Morrow, does not become like his father. Will is complicit in this sting and knows that Electra Forrester is keeping an eye on him with Luna. So how hot and heavy can Will allow himself to get? B&B, is Luna Nozawa able to provide Will with a great deal of pleasure? Will Spencer talked about this risky endeavor with Steffi, Finn, Electra, and Chief Baker on this week's episode of The Bold and Beautiful. Despite Luna's past horrific crimes, Will Spencer reassures everyone that he can handle it. The plan was made public on B&B. Will be wearing a wire while on camera. The next step is for him to convince Luna to be more open about her intentions to pursue Steffi. As Steffi reminded everyone, Luna is smart, so that won't be easy. When Chief Baker is there and there is a cable and a camera, gathering the evidence is simple. But getting Luna to divulge anything that they can use as evidence is the problem. Luna Nozawa has already made her intentions very clear with regard to Will. She desires a private game of play with him. Furthermore, when Will texted Luna to express his want to view her tattoos, he might have been hinting that he accepted the invitation to have sex. However, Electra's presence could jeopardize Will's ambitions with Luna. Beautiful and Bold, Luna's sideways sting. Previews for Bold and the Beautiful suggest that Luna flees when she discovers Will Spencer is portraying her. So, Will seems to be the only one stung. Or maybe he isn't. Luna Nozawa must have had a motive for fleeing. Maybe she said just enough to throw herself into trouble with Will Spencer. Forecast for Bold and the Beautiful, Luna tricked and Ridge engaged soaped out. Luna had her eyes set on Steffi last week, and then Hayes Forrester Finnegan, Brian David Garlick, so she might still try to harm them while they are running. By informing Remy Price, Christian Weissman, last week on Bold and the Beautiful, Luna implied that Steffi ought to know what it's like to have a child withheld from a parent. She compared it to Steffi severing Luna's relationship with Finn. And the ideal method for Luna to out Steffi would be to catch Hayes fleeing. The Bold and the Beautiful enters a new era of suspense in one of the most astounding, nerve-wracking plot lines the CBS soap opera has ever ventured to explore as Luna Nozawa's deadly spiral sends shockwaves across Los Angeles. It remains to be seen, though, how Bold and the Beautiful will end Luna's terror. The novel explores treachery, seduction, deceit, and the blurred lines between justice and punishment as Will Spencer, the son of the famous Bill Spencer, takes on the role that once ruined his father, the man behind the wire. With Finn, Steffi Forrester, Electra Forrester, and Chief Baker joining forces in an unexpected alliance to bring down Luna, the stage is set for a sting operation so dangerous, so emotionally charged, and so delicate that the slightest mistake may lose them everything, not just careers or freedom, but lives. It's hard for anyone to truly understand what it's like to dance with someone like Luna, a woman who has been rejected, wounded by love, controlled by bloodlines, and driven by desire for vengeance that burns everything near her. Will Spencer is composed, confident, and skilled. As soon as Will goes onto the wire, he is thrust into a psychological battlefield where charm is weaponized, passion is weaponized, and secrets are concealed beneath layers of seduction. He must dangle himself like bait, feigning admiration and flirting with Luna over her tattoos. But Luna is not a beginner. She senses the shift in tone. She sees that Electra's eyes are not completely hidden from observation. When Bill Spencer tried and failed at the same game, she remembers clearly what happened to her grandmother, Sheila Carter. That history haunts this mission. As Will takes on his father's bravado and becomes the object of Luna's obsession, every moment has a hint of déjà vu. But compared to Sheila, who was taken down by her own ego, Luna is much more dangerous because she is more self-aware, more calculating, and considerably less forgiving.